Hey everyone, in this video I wanted to show you a project I've been working on lately that I've been commissioned to do. As you can see in the view, there's a couple of Nixie tubes being used as a display. Right now it's just showing the time over there. As you know, you can't have Nixie tubes without putting a time on them. So let me just do a quick overview of all the different parts to it, and then I'll go in how it functions, and I'll go in more details on what it all does. You can tell that over here I have a 5-digit Nixie tube display. This one is used to display the, well, right now time, as you can see when it's in idle mode, but also it's used to keep a running tally of the total price. What this whole thing does is there's 4 input selections. As you can see there's 4 switches, and then as you press each switch, it'll keep a count of how many you chose of each selection, and it'll keep a current tally of the total price. Then when that's done, you can hit a print button and it'll print you out a receipt which gives you the order review, and it is a barcode that the person can scan into the cashier to bring in the price directly to just simplify the process a little bit. So there's the 4 buttons. When you press one of these buttons, it makes a bell ring and it'll increment one of these displays. So let me do that real quick. Here's for the first selection. And there you go. When you press any of these buttons, it takes it out of the idle mode. So you see I chose one selection of that, and the current price is $4.95. I could hit it again, and there you go. You just heard the bell go off, and the bell will go off every time you press a button. So there's 3 of that, and as you can see, the price total is incrementing. Add some of these other ones. If you hold the button, it'll automatically increment. Add a few more, and let's add some of these too. So there we go. Now we have a selection of each one. The current price is $109.24, and now I'll hit the print button, which prints out a receipt. Actually, it's not a receipt, it's a docket. So on this docket, you might be able to tell it's the key cutting docket. It has a unique ID. It's got the date and time, and then it's got all the different selections, the quantity, the prices, gives you a total, and then there's the barcode you could scan in on a cashier to bring in the price directly, and then it tells you at the bottom, please take this socket to till to pay, and then this is not a receipt, and then you can just tear that off. It's a little bit tricky doing it one-handed, but there you go. And then the user is able to take this to the cashier. The cashier can see the order directly, get that into the system, and then scan the price to charge the customer for the price. After there's no activity after a little while, it'll always go back to the time. So this also acts as a really fancy clock. As you can see right now, it's 10:39. Now let me go over some of the more detailed parts of this and things it'll do. You might have noticed earlier there was a bell. This was ripped out of a really old style telephone, but the actuator in it was a high voltage actuator. So what I ended up doing was taking a 12-volt relay and taking the coil out of it and sticking it on here, and that turned this bell into a 12-volt bell. The core of this project uses a TNC 3.1. Initially there was a TNC 3, but something happened with that, so I just replaced it with TNC 3.1. It uses 5 volts main power input, which is what this is, and uses 15 volts for the bell. And there's a couple of modules plugged into it, and I'll go over them. There's an SD card slot over here. You could either use a micro SD card or a normal SD card, and this is used to read configuration data, but also to save a log of all the orders that go through the machine. There's also a Wi-Fi module on here, the ESP8266, and right now it's not really being used for anything, but was added on for future feature expansion. You could have this thing send an email or send some. It could actually send the whole order to an integrated computer system if it's set up to receive data over a network connection. So there's a Wi-Fi module for that. And on this side, there is a Bluetooth module. This Bluetooth module allows you to wirelessly monitor it and control it. Right now, there is no wireless interface. It'll just connect to a Wi-Fi network, but other than that, it doesn't do anything. However, on Bluetooth, it's the same as if you plug it in over the computer serial monitor, where you could see data coming out of it, and you could send commands to it, and whatever other function you may want to have on there. There's also a little button cell battery. This is used as a backup battery for the real-time clock. This microcontroller has a real-time clock built into it, so even when power is disconnected, it'll always keep accurate time. and there's a key switch that was added. Right now, this key switch is simply used as a mute function for the bell, so when the key switch is off, the bell gets muted. But it's was added mostly there for administrative functions, whatever you want to add, make it do, or etc. later on. Maybe if the key switch is off, you can't update the configuration on it. The key switch has to be on if you send it commands or when you boot it up. So there's several different options you can do with it. It's a pretty nice key switch, and it was just added on for that purpose. Otherwise, yeah, I have the Nixie tube displays, and that's just a high voltage driver, and this will output 170 volts. You could actually tune it between 150 and 230, but that's not that important of a detail, and it's all modular, and so you could unplug each one individually and it'll be standalone. But yeah, that's the project. I could show you real quick some of the stuff it'll do on the computer monitoring side. So let me show you the computer screen real quick. There's just a lot of data. Every time you press the button, it'll actually give you the output. Let me get the camera to focus. And then you could send it commands. So let me send it the question mark command. And then here's all the information it'll give you at a quick view. So it'll give you the date, and if it was connected to a Wi-Fi network, it would list the Wi-Fi network. Right. There's also a tax rate feature where it'll automatically calculate the tax, but you don't necessarily want that. Like the person I'm doing this for, they don't actually pay tax when you buy stuff. So if you just set to 0, it completely removes it. And then there's the prices of each selection. So selection 0, it's called a cylinder selection, and the price is £2.75. The currency symbols, you could make whatever currency you want. This is just for a British person, so it's pounds. As you can see, the rest of the selections. Now you could add more or less selections. You'll just have to keep adding buttons to the circuit and displays, etc., etc. This was set up for 4 selections. You could obviously do less, but if you want to do more, it does require some tweaking. Discounts. This also allows you to add discounts and remove them. So you can see right here for selection 0, which is a cylinder, at 3 keys you get a 15% discount. At 25 keys you get a 20% discount. And the cylinder and mortise keys have the discounts. You could have as many or as little as you want, and all of this is saved to the SD card, and all of this you could change over the serial port, which I'll show in a little bit. And the current tally of the order. So every time you print, it clears it. But right now there's 4 keys at 325 for a total of 13. And if any of them have discounts, which I'll show in a minute. Let me bring that back up. You could see if any of them have discounts. It'll show you the highest discount you get. So discount 15% equals 1007. And then it gives you a subtotal and a total, and then it tells you just key switch states. So this is just the basic monitor of it. The way you send commands to it, you could do it one of 2 ways. You could either put the commands in the configuration file, which is on the SD card, or you just send them over the serial port. So for example, one of the commands to add a discount is in this format, where it's add discount like a function. The selection, which is 0 through 4, which is those, as you see, those IDs. So you do the selection number, then you just do the quantity and the discount percentage. So let me do that real quick. So selection, let's do 0. Quantity, let's do 100, and then the discount percentage. Let's do 50%. And then there you go, it gives you an update. It added a discount for cylinder 0, 100 keys, 50%. And every time you write a command, it automatically updates the configuration file on the SD card. And then when you bring up the page, as you can see, the discount selection was added, 100 keys, add 50%. Now let me power off the system, and I can show you some of the files on the SD card. Just give me a moment here. So these are the contents of the SD card. There's just the logs folder and configuration file. Let me open up the configuration file. And then there's the configuration file. You can set the name to a selection, you set the price, and then you add all the discounts. As you can see, there's the discount I just added a minute ago. It automatically adds to the configuration file. This configuration file is read when the system boots up, and it's updated every time you send it a command. And there's all the different selections, set the stacks. This Steve was just me playing around with the logging function. I will remove that eventually. You could also add the command on here to connect to the Wi-Fi network or not. You would add that towards the top, and if the command is in here, then it will connect to the Wi-Fi network, but as stated, it doesn't do anything else other than that currently. Close that, and then you could check the logs folder, and then these are all the previous orders. Where's the one I printed out earlier? This one, as you can see, it's ID number 29, so if I open up ID number 29, it should be the same information that's on here. Obviously it's not the same because it can't be formatted the same, but everything else should line up. So IDs, the dates, the timestamp, the selections, the total. So this will just keep a log of everything that went through the machine. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what this thing does for now. It could do a lot more. I'm still not sure what exactly this project is going to do by the end of it and over the future as stuff is added on. So let me turn it back on once again. I have to reinsert the SD card. Plug it in. And there we go. It shows the time when it initially boots up because it's in idle mode. But then as soon as you press a thing, there we go. It's working as expected. Yeah, it was a major pain in the butt making these Nixie tube displays, but in the end, you just can't compare it to anything else. It's going to look really nice. The person I'm sending this to is actually going to make the box. So hopefully soon, once he gets his hands on this and makes a nice box, I'll have another update video of what that thing was actually going to look like. But yeah, that's the project. It can do a lot more than it currently does. So what's going to end up doing by the end of it, who knows? Alright, see you next time.